I came on the show, and some people hear what they want to hear. And I said, everyone is on the hook for this loss. Mike McDaniel, the punt, terrible. Tua Tagovailoa, that overthrow to Jalen Waddle and not making a run, terrible.
I watched the
Defensive
game
line.
over again. I don't know about not going for it on that 4th and 17. You got a noodle arm for a quarterback. He might not get that ball in. And then with your what I get your point, right? But they were in Carolina's zone. They were in Carolina's area. The way they're not stopping them, they're going to score. They scored. They're not going to hold them to a field goal. If you can't even hold them to 3 downs, what makes you think you're going to hold them to a field goal?
Once again, so you're punting it and trusting statistically, if not the worst, the second worst defense that hasn't been able to stop a nosebleed all game.
And what was bad was the play calling, those 3 play calls to lead to the punt.
That second down was a pretty good play call, just to a airmailed Waddle.
But I get, but you know what?
I blame everybody.
Hindsight is 2020. But at that time, when you were talking to the callers, I agree with you.
I blame everybody, but a lot of people are putting the blame on Tua and saying this team sucks because of Tua. I don't think he deserves all the blame. I actually think everyone deserves a lot of the blame.
They all do, but it's the 3, bro. It's the big 3s: GM, head coach, and QB. GM, HC, QB. Those are the 2 guys that get all, they get the love, they get the praise behind the scenes, in the talk shows, in the the sports program, the TV sports program, they get it, and they're gonna get all the blame. And unfortunately, bro, you saw this happening last year. You and I talked about it. We said this is not really leading into anything but mediocrity. That's what you've been stuck at. And we said, okay, fine. There was one season you could F up the church's money. It would have been last season. But this year, when all the contracts extensions kick in, there's no churning back. There's no, we got to start, we got to build a culture, all of that. When you started hearing that wasn't good for a team that just extended these guys. Like, what happened those previous 3 seasons that you need to start building a culture? When you started hearing all of that, this is what you should have expected from the season so far in the first 5 games.
So Tua has gotten a lot of the blame, and you know what? That's part of the job. That comes with the territory. But Tua was recently asked this week, with all the chatter about him and all the noise and all the blame, is he hearing all of the talk?
One of the things that McDaniel praised you for earlier today is your ability to tune out the noise, right? Both positive and negative. Obviously that's easier said than done. How have you been able to do that, and has it grown a little bit more difficult this year with the losses?
Yeah, I would say it hasn't been as difficult this year, just because, as I've said in prior interviews, I'm not on social media. Like, I don't have any of that. And then outside of that, like, I go home, I see my kids, whether I throw 5 picks or 5 touchdowns, we win the game, we lose the game, I get to come home to my kids who are happy to see me every time.
So I have no problem with kind of what Tua said right there. I would have liked him going a little bit further and said, look, it's been a tough year and we hate to lose. This sucks. And I understand why people are chattering. But at the end of the day, it is still a game and it is still important. It is still my job. But I get to go home to my kids and not just say, lose, go home to kids. And I understand it is a game, but I would like to have a little more empathy from Tua right there for a fan base that is really, really struggling right now with not winning a playoff game in 25 years. Vlad, could he have gone a little bit further and just said, well, I don't hear all the chatter, but I do know it sucks, man.
All right. I said this earlier when I heard the cut when we played this week. It's not what the fan base wants to hear. Sometimes the fan base, when they're in pain like this, you want to feel like the players are in pain, so that you both are sharing this, this anger. Like, it means as much to you as it does to the fans. And when you hear your quarterback, and that's just his nature, that's not what you want to hear. This is what I'm saying from the fan base. You don't want to hear that. Like, no, because in their mind, you know what first thing they start doing? They start pocket watching. And it's like, oh yeah, you make it $53 million, and then you're going on, you live in a great house and you're going home and you don't care. You got 165 million guaranteed. That's all good. That's what the fan is going to think. Meanwhile, the players just look, I can't take all of this pain and losing. At some point, I got to let it go. When I get into the house, being with my children, being with my family is my outlet. I get that. But at 1-4 and after a tough loss to Carolina, not the message that the fans want to hear.
Exactly. This is what the fan base wants to hear. Yeah, it sucks. And I understand why people are saying things. I'm going to go out there and do my darndest to make sure that we're saying good things. But at the end of the day, you have to understand it's as hard on us as it is on you. But I get to go home to my kids like everyone else, go home, relax with your family, have a good time. That's what the fan base wants to hear. This is what the player really wants to say. Why don't y'all shut up and let me do my job? I'm going to go home to my kids and I'm going to not have to worry about you. You know who I am. I don't know who you are. So just leave me alone. Show up at the games, cheer us on, be positive. Somewhere in between you get, pretty good at blocking things out. And it's his demeanor of kind of sounding nonchalant. But I mean, it didn't come off bad. But like I said, you could have done more. Like I said, Tua, you didn't lose that game. I'm not saying it's your fault, although you could have done more. Mike McDaniel, I'm not saying it's your fault, although you could have done more. Defense, I'm not saying it's your fault, although you could have done more. Anthony Weaver, I'm not saying it's your fault, although you could have done more. I'm sure Tua hears it. I'm sure all the players hear it and feel it, Vlad. I'm sure they shut out as much as they can, but you can only shut out so much. They watch TV. They listen to Odyssey. They have friends. You don't think friends come in and say,
dude, if they're not listening, you know who's getting harassed? Your family, your friends are getting harassed.
That's what I'm saying. You don't think a friend comes in like to come, maybe work out, train with you, or just watch a movie and be like, dang, man, they are roasting you.
Dude, what did you do, bro? Like, they are frying your ass right now. They want you traded. Like, you got that guy that's gonna tell you what,
of course,
what the Stephen A's and all these people are saying, because you want to know, no matter what, there's not too many that are not going to be offended by some comment. We can read 100 comments. 99 of them could be great. Dan, Vlad, you two are the best.
The one that hurts.
You guys should be on the air and more this, that, and the other. One stupid comment by somebody like, Dan, you stink, or Vlad, you're not knowledge out, and then that's the guy you want to go in, or the person you want to go in on, not the 99 that gave you love. It's weird. That's how we are.
It's human nature.
That's how we built.
It's funny though. You would think, like most athletes, and even myself as a human being, I've built up a callus. And when someone sends a nasty message or someone tells me something kind of nasty, you think by this time in my life, after 20, how many years has it been? 26 years in broadcasting, it would roll off my back. No problem. Still stings, Vlad. It still stings. And if you think Mike McDaniel and Tua, it doesn't sting just a little bit when people go in on them and they hear about it, it still stings.
Definitely for Tua, because Tua looks like he can't, you can't criticize him. He was able. I really want to look at his report card when he was young to see if he was able to accept criticism, because I know I feel that when I was young. So because you can't tell him anything,
yeah,
and he's gonna be like, "What? Huh?
I mean, I agree with the whole
jumps. He jumps at it.
Stay off the internet.
That's great. But here's the thing, though: you can stay off the internet, but the media, you can't stay away from the media as your job as the starting quarterback. So therefore, when they have questions to ask you, you're going to have to answer it.
Wasn't it Mitch Trubisky when he was quarterback for the Bears at one point had everyone in the organization turn off TVs when he was entering the building because he didn't want to see the criticism? That's tough, man. But Tua hears it. And, I think that's a mechanism. I just go home and go to my kids with stuff like that. And he makes it sound like he just totally tunes it out, but he doesn't. This team knows where they're at, Vlad. They know they're 1-4. They know they've got a big task this week. And they know someone's coming to town that they are directly tied to. Should be fun. 1:00 tomorrow. But yeah, let everybody know it's okay to say, yeah, I know it's tough, man. And there's always going to be chatter, and that comes with the territory, and it sucks. And then go to my kids and I get away. And then make yourself like the everyday man. Say, like everyone else, some days you have bad days at the office. Mine's a little more magnified, But like most people, I go home like them and go home to my family or go home to my dog, and I just release. That's okay. But then again, when you're 1-4, everything you say gets magnified.
And then
if we're 4-1,
it starts solidifying the narrative that you're soft, like when you're not able to take criticism. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't hold you. Like what he said to Omar after that what was it, the New England game, when he had multiple turnovers and he was like, what? Like he felt offended. And I was like, hey, bro, this is an actual fact. Like, when you turn the ball over, it comes in bunches. It's not like one and it's over. There's going to be another turnover if you turn the ball already. And he got all offended by that. Just some of his comments this year. Well, I want to wait to see who's going to come to the facilities on their off day on Tuesday. All right, cool. But remember when it's weird because those are the same things Flores was saying. Like, this guy wants to play golf on his off days. Now you want, like, some of the things that you were upset about is what you need right now. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely what's needed for this team. This team needs an authoritative voice who can get them, like, discipline, focus. They need somebody on their ass pretty much. Yeah. They need somebody on their helmet every day. That's what they do. And they had that, and they were winning, and then they didn't like the way he was being told. And guess what, buddy? Your man's is about to go. He's on that form, and he is cooked. Like, I'm talking about cooked, okay? He's about to go, and he's the only guy that really had your back. So, therefore, if you don't play hard for McDaniel, you may not be a starting quarterback in this league, because I don't know many coaching or general managers or teams that really gonna,
that want an injury-prone, soft-armed,
concussed, bad hip, no forward mobility,
that gets caught up in their feelings quarterback for $50 million a year,
that can't win in the cold.
Can't beat winning teams either. Although he might change that tomorrow. Yeah, that's not an impressive resume, Vlad. That's not an impressive resume. But once again, what Tua said, what's the glaring big difference between what Tua said at 1-4 or if he'd have said the exact same thing at 4-1? The glaring difference is you're 1-4. It's cool when you're 4-1 saying, yeah, I block out everything. I go home and I'd rather be with my kids. You say, oh, that's cool, man.
But you know what?
He prioritizes that. But you're 1-4. It's like, what are you doing here?
This is what bothers me about the season, right?
I got a lot of things so far.
Right. And then we got to go to break and we'll come back, but I'll continue. What bothered me about the season is that, all right, the team is already considered mid, right? But then everybody else that was assumed to be so much better than them has taken a significant fall to the point where, guess what? If you improve from what you did last season, people would have a better, I would say, better opinion. They would have more hope. That's what happens. Remember that 4-letter word I tell you, hope? Dolphins took the hope away from the fan base. And that's because the fan base is seeing Buffalo ain't really all that. But they own you. But cool. You played them very well. So Kansas City's, it could be the beginning of the start of the slide after this dynastic run that they had. Baltimore is going through injuries. Cincinnati Burrows out for the year. Chargers are going through the injuries. Broncos you don't really know about. Are you really sure about Trevor Lawrence and the Jags?
Look, the Philadelphia Eagles have lost 2 games in 1 week.
And Indianapolis Colts, how long is this Indiana Jones and the Taylor of Doom run going to go?
Never know.
You don't know.
It's still early in the season.
Guess what? If you looked at this team with the talent that they had and they didn't start 1-4, if they were 4-1 or 3-2, you would have been like, well, look, not everybody's as strong. There's some continuity. There's, these guys have been together. The young guys are proving, showing. None of that's happening.
Not yet.
None of them. There is not something you can point at and say, except for Devon Achane. Other than Devon Achane and Darren Waller, but that Darren Waller came, week 4? The last 2 weeks? There's nothing good to talk about this team.
Everyone's still kind of figuring out who they are, and the Dolphins need to figure it out real fast, or else this season will be really, really, really bad.